Hey guys, what's going on? Sincere here with whoissincere.com. I want to come to you today with a story that I actually, looked into this a few days ago and went through a few videos, and I'll be sharing some links below for this, but I want to share with you a story that ended up just touching me in a way that, I'd like to share with you. Uh, what you're looking at here is Private LaVena Johnson, PFC LaVena Johnson. And let's read the title. Justice for LaVena Johnson, raped and murdered or suicide. The evidence says one thing, U.S. military says another. Now, looking at this, I immediately, the title, of course, it had me intrigued to find out, okay, what is this story about? I'm a military veteran, and, this is an attractive young lady here, and just wanted to see, like, how could this have happened and they don't know what's going on? I've never heard of this, and not to mention she actually looks like someone I know. I checked and she's no one that I actually served with. I got out in 2004 and I believe she went into 2005. Immediately I went into the story, and as I read the story, I mean, some key things started to really pop out to me. Let me just take you down to one of the first things. One of the first things that popped out to me was actually right here. LaVena became the first woman soldier to die while serving in Iraq or Afghanistan. The first woman soldier to die in Iraq or Afghanistan. And for her to be the first to, I'm just against women going into combat zones anyway, just because of for the preservation purposes of, of our women. War is not something I believe that women should be engaged in. But that's just my beliefs and my, principles, because if we don't protect them and we don't preserve that, then what makes us different from any other region of the world where their predominant religion may be something else other than what our predominant religion is in our country? You understand what I'm saying? So I believe in strongly protecting the rights of women, especially in combat zones and stuff like that, and I'm not in agreement with it, but that's always been my position. So with her being the first to pass away, in a combat area in Iraq or Afghanistan, the first woman soldier, you would think that this would be well more publicized, but keeping in tune with the Army's agenda of how they minimize their rapes, how they also minimize their suicides, one can begin to see where, no, this is not going to be something where they're going to want to be willing to talk about this openly. So, as I read through the story, I quickly realized, and I'm just going to give you some quick pointers of the story. The mother, she's of course distraught. The father, who has the title of a doctor, he's of course distraught as well. So, Private LaVena Johnson doesn't come from a family that didn't care. She doesn't come from a family that's not a professional family. Not that if her family wasn't professional would it be any less tragic, but this is just to say, as far as the class-based system goes, that these people were not on the lower end of the economic totem pole, if you will. So they were definitely on the better side of the equation. She had family that cared about her, and they were very supportive and, always there. Now, when the Army told them about their daughter's death, they, said that she shot herself with an M16, and that it was ruled a suicide and she shot herself. As they begin to investigate further, not the Army, but as the family begins to investigate further and uncover things, they realized that Private LaVena Johnson was not found in her barracks, which they said she was. She was actually found in a contractor's tent, where she had friends of hers had said she had known people in that area, so she was found inside of a contractor's tent. She was found badly bruised and beaten. Badly bruised and beaten, even with a gash in her head. None of that was ever disclosed to the family. I'm not going to get into exactly how deep this goes because of the graphic nature of some of the things, but we'll even say that her body was desecrated even after the assault was done to her in every conceivable way that you can think of. So they tried to rid of evidence, through chemicals and compounds and also through fire. So this is something, this is gruesome. This is gruesome. This is animalistic. This is, I can't describe it. Just as a father of a daughter, first of all, I'll never let my child go to the military. But, as a father of a daughter, if I got this report back and I know that I sent my daughter off and she wasn't in harm's way, I sent my daughter off and, she was in the military. Maybe I thought she was going to stay stateside, but she ended up getting called up for duty. And, okay, that's a risk, if you let your child enlist. If I was a father and my child was over there, I would be worried about her safety as far as, okay, I don't want her, of course, in combat, but I never want the base to get attacked where she works at. If she's not in any combat zones or anything, I never want that base to get attacked. But you never think to yourself, as a father, that your daughter's on a base with people who are supposed to protect her that are attacking her. She didn't have to go outside the base and get killed by Islamic terrorist. She was there to fight for the good of the country and to, quote unquote, help, unite the future of the United States. This is a child pretty much, right? Fresh out of high school. This is a child over there fighting battles for grown people. Supporting battles for grown people, supporting battles for children of generations to come that she hasn't even seen yet. She's there with her comrades, her brothers, her sisters. That's how we look at each other. And this is how she's treated. So when they brought the report to the parents, of course, suicide, LaVena Johnson was 5'1", and they said that she killed herself with her 40-inch M16. Father immediately knew that was, for lack of better terms, BS. That it would be a very difficult task to do. And all the evidence that I've read so far and the way that it's been presented, and they've done a documentary since and everything, the way that it's been presented, it's absolutely mind-boggling how there's never been any justice in this case. So it immediately got me upset. Because this is an obvious cover-up. Obviously, there's officials out there that know about this at the highest levels. This is a 10-year cover-up. Okay? Now, if this private here, LaVena Johnson, if this private young African-American beautiful woman could not get justice, it makes me really think about where we're going as far as the militarization of our police forces here in America, and how this culture of protection of the system itself is actually eroding our values as a country. Where are we going? If we can't do it right for the least of us, for a child fighting in a war zone who had nothing to do with her own death, if we can't get it right for her, then how are we supposed to get it right now? If we couldn't do it 10 years ago, it's still not done. How are we supposed to get it right for the future? On killedbypolice.net, there's over 1,000 people that were killed by the police this year. Over 1,000. Many, 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 many of them did not need to die. But yet they're being protected by a system that protects them. The same thing is happening in the military. And this is just one notable case that I'm going to point out for now. We'll go over more cases later. I want you to look at that face. I want you to remember that face. I want you to remember this beautiful African American female that could have been someone's wife, that could have been someone's mother, that was someone's daughter. I want you to remember when you hear me say the words of African Americans have literally died for this country and no one has cared about their lives, I want you to think of Private LaVena Johnson. That's who I want you to think of. I don't want to hear the rhetoric about, oh, don't turn this into Black Lives Matter. This is not Black Lives Matter. This is All Rights Matter. She had rights. Because she does not have a voice does not mean that she does not have rights. Her mother and father, of course, being the executors of her estate with her passing, they should have a right to not only know what happened to their daughter, but to receive justice, especially at the hands of who we're talking about. If we're not able to receive justice at the highest levels of the federal government, what is the use of asking for it when it comes to state matters, when it comes to local matters? They're not willing to even do for their own. They're not willing to even help out a child. She's nothing but a child. She knows nothing about war. She knows nothing about that M16 that she's holding. When I went, I was 19 years old. I knew nothing about war. I knew nothing about shooting guns. Learned a lot about it since then. Never thought about killing a person until then. So you risk your whole soul. You risk putting your life on the line when you sign this commitment. And for her to sign this commitment, it's something that she took that oath just like every last single one of us. And I refuse to believe, with the way her body was done and the things that, just the details of this story, I'll leave a link below. I refuse to believe that Private LaVena Johnson killed herself and beat herself that badly. I refuse to believe that. And her father refuses to believe it as well. So I'll leave a link to his interview that he did with a news agency called Democracy Now! So a very gripping and moving story, a piece of journalism there that you'll just never forget. So I will leave a link for that below. I encourage you to look at it. I just can't say enough about this, guys. It just hurts my heart. So I hope you understand what we're looking at here as a community, as the human community. We're looking at a sick, diseased culture. Just today on Crime Watch Daily, I think it's called, I watched a story about a young man who killed his mother and shot his father in the head because he couldn't play with a video game, a first-person shooter video game. I mean, we're sick as a culture. The entitlement level is sick. The violence level is sick. And if we keep supporting and protecting these sadistic people, then what are we to expect when it overturns our whole way of thinking? We have to fix it. Let's fix it in the name of people like Private LaVena Johnson, who went to serve for her country. Let's fix it for her. Let's fix it for her family. I'm going to put hashtag All Rights Matter below. I ask that everybody start using that. Thank you.